Stan Minton is a real estate agent from Los Angeles who seems to have it all: money, status, and a gorgeous wife named Mindy he's absolutely crazy about. He's built a comfortable life using some rather shady tactics in his business, tricking clients out of small amounts of money. But over time, those little scams pile up, and one day Stan gets arrested for first-degree fraud. After being found guilty, he learns that he's facing a minimum of 3 years in prison. Panicked and desperate, Stan begs his lawyer to bribe the judge. The lawyer tries, but the best he can manage is a 6-month delay before Stan has to start serving his sentence. To make the deal look clean, they stage a fake charity event, but it doesn't change the verdict. After court, the lawyer tells Stan his only option is to flee to Brazil and never come back. But with all his assets frozen, he can't even buy a plane ticket. All that's left is to wait, terrified, full of regret, and running out of time. Each day his anxiety grows stronger. He tries to make the most of the time he has left. During a dinner date, Mindy suggests they have a baby so she won't feel so alone while he's gone. But Stan rejects the idea, afraid that if something happens to him in prison, she'll be forced to give the child up for adoption. His words spark a fight, and Mindy storms off, leaving him drowning in guilt and confusion. That night, Stan goes for a drive with no destination and ends up in a bar. While drinking, he notices a man with prison tattoos and offers him $100 for some advice on how to survive behind bars. The man doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells Stan that guards don't care about violence or death as long as no one escapes. He warns that someone like Stan will be an easy target for abuse. Shaken to his core, Stan realizes his fears might be true. The man advises him to join a prison gang, the Nazis, the racists, or one of the ethnic groups. But Stan doesn't fit into any of them. His final piece of advice is even darker. Best thing you can do, take someone out early. That way, nobody will mess with you. The next morning, Stan wakes up hungover and horrified to realize that the bar conversation actually happened. Mindy reminds him that prison is still waiting for him, but she tries to keep his spirits up, saying he always finds a way out of tough spots. Encouraged by her words, Stan makes a bold decision. In the next 6 months, he's going to transform himself into an alpha male. He throws himself into self-improvement, working out every day and even getting a tattoo on his butt to make himself less appealing to predators. He signs up for karate classes to learn self-defense, but quickly loses patience with the basics and challenges his instructor, which leads to a brawl with another student. After the chaos, he's kicked out of the dojo. At his lowest point, Stan meets a strange old man known only as the Master. The man blows his mind by punching a hole straight through a wall. Seeing a chance to finally toughen up, Stan invites the Master to move in with him and Mindy to train him personally. Much to Mindy's annoyance, the eccentric old man moves into their house and starts a bizarre training regime. On the very first morning, he wakes Stan up at 5 a.m. by dumping animal liver blood on his face. Then he demands that Mindy make a breakfast smoothie out of ox pancreas and horse tongues. From there, the training only gets weirder and more painful. The Master beats him with flaming sticks, hangs him by his skin, and makes him eat scorpions and snakes. Mindy grows increasingly furious with his smoking, strange rituals, and constant chaos. Eventually, she gives Stan an ultimatum. Either the Master goes, or she does. One night, in a misguided attempt to make her understand his fear of prison, Stan stages a fake home invasion. When Mindy realizes it was all an act, she explodes in anger, packs her things, and walks out. The Master, however, couldn't be happier. Without distractions, Stan can finally focus. For the next 5 months, Stan endures brutal training sessions. Slowly but surely, he begins to impress even the Master himself. He can now take a punch and fight back like a real warrior. As his final test, Stan returns to the same dojo that kicked him out months earlier. This time, he completely dominates the instructor, proving how far he's come. With his confidence sky high, Stan finally feels ready to face prison. On sentencing day, the Master and Stan's lawyer drive him to court. Mindy, still hurt but unable to stay away, secretly watches from her car as Stan walks into the courthouse. After the hearing, he's officially sentenced and loaded onto a prison transport bus. During the ride, one of the inmates tries to mess with him, but Stan immediately fights back, showing a level of strength and confidence he never had before. Once at the prison, the new arrivals are greeted by the warden, a calm but intimidating man named Gask. He politely tells the inmates not to give the guards any trouble, but then adds something chilling. As long as they don't bother the staff, they can do whatever they want to each other. Stan gets his first taste of how brutal prison life really is during the cavity search. When it's his turn, the guards are horrified by what they see. Stan had purposely altered the look of his backside to scare off anyone with bad intentions. He's then assigned to a cell with a quiet guy named Larry. Wasting no time, Stan asserts dominance right away, ordering Larry to take the bottom bunk. Later that night, Larry gives him a crash course on how things work inside. He points out all the major prison gangs, the Black Crew, the Mexican Toughs, the Nazis, and a group of white supremacists. There's even a bunch of nerdy scientists who intimidate people by talking non-stop about complex theories. Finally, Larry warns him about the most dangerous predator in their block, a massive guy everyone calls Big Raymond. Not long after, Stan sees Raymond harassing a new inmate. Tired of feeling scared, Stan steps in front of everyone and challenges him head-on. Using the moves the master taught him, he takes Raymond down with ease. His bold victory catches the attention of Patterson, the Nazi gang leader, who offers Stan a place in their group. But instead of joining, Stan shocks everyone by beating up Patterson too. Soon after, a group of black inmates confronts him for fighting Big Raymond. Trying to lighten the tension, Stan jokes that he's kinda black too. The joke doesn't land. Their leader orders his men to attack, and another massive fight breaks out. Stan takes them all down effortlessly, while the guards just stand there watching, clearly amused, without lifting a finger to stop it. After that, Stan's reputation explodes. Word spreads fast. Everyone starts calling him Big Stan. Wherever he walks, people step aside. A young inmate named Robbie, whom Stan saved from Big Raymond earlier, approaches to thank him, but Stan brushes him off, saying he only did it for himself. Later, Warden Gask calls Stan into his office and reveals that his placement in this particular prison wasn't random. Gask plans to take over the prison land and turn it into a luxury housing project. He wants Stan, with his real estate background, to help review the property documents for loopholes. In return, Gask promises to get him out in a year. Intrigued, Stan agrees, though Gask doesn't share how he plans to get rid of all the inmates. Meanwhile, the different prison gangs decide to unite, not against the guards, but against Stan. One day, while Stan is showering, Patterson attacks him with a homemade knife crafted from a melted toothbrush and a razor blade. But Stan's ready for it. He whips out nunchucks he made himself using soap bars and shoelaces. Within seconds, he takes Patterson down, leaving him bloodied and sent to the infirmary. Missing his wife, Stan calls his lawyer to ask if Mindy has filed for divorce. To his relief, she hasn't, and that small bit of news gives him a flicker of hope. With a clearer head, he dives into Warden Gask's project, reviewing piles of property documents. While working, he meets Dang, a former Vietnamese mobster who reinvented himself as a politician and is now Gask's partner in a secret plan to shut the prison down. One day, Stan overhears the two of them talking. Their plan is horrifying. They intend to incite violence among the inmates, so the guards will be forced to open fire. The chaos would give the state a reason to close the prison, allowing Gask to take over the land for his luxury housing development. Shocked by what he hears, Stan feels a moral responsibility to protect the inmates, even the ones who can't stand him. Determined to stop the bloodshed, he calls a meeting in the yard and lays down a new set of rules. First, he bans all violent video games and movies, calling them toxic influences. Then he introduces a strict new law. Sexual assault is officially off limits, and anyone who breaks that rule will answer directly to him. At first, the inmates push back and mock the idea, but Stan encourages them to focus on mutual respect, or at least mutual consent, instead of fear and dominance. As strange as it sounds to them, they eventually agree. Later that day, during lunch, Robbie and a few others thank Stan for the new rules. Stan brushes it off like it's no big deal, pretending he's only maintaining order. But Robbie can see through the act. Stan genuinely cares about the well-being of everyone inside. Even Big Raymond, once the most feared predator in the block, changes under Stan's influence. He finds a boyfriend, and the two form a consensual relationship, becoming unexpected allies in Stan's growing circle of supporters. Soon after, Stan receives a letter from Mindy responding to his apology. She writes that she's willing to visit him, and for the first time in a long while, Stan starts to believe that redemption might actually be possible. As the days go by, the prison begins to transform. Fights turn into conversations, conflicts are settled peacefully, and inmates start coming to Stan for advice. The once violent facility slowly evolves into an oddly calm and cooperative community. One day, Mindy finally visits. They talk for hours, reconnecting and remembering how much they once loved each other. But just when it feels like things are looking up, their quiet reunion is shattered. Warden Gask bursts into the cell, furious. Angry about how much influence Stan now holds, Gask accuses him of sabotaging their entire plan to destabilize the prison. He delivers a cold warning. If Stan doesn't cooperate, Dang will make sure he never leaves the prison alive. The next day, Stan meets with his lawyer, who urges him to play along, reminding him that Gask has enormous power. Feeling cornered, Stan gives in. That night, he gathers the inmates and tells them he's done trying to fix their lives. That whatever happens from now on is their problem. The peace he worked so hard to build crumbles instantly. Fights break out again, chaos spreads, and the old prison order returns. During lunch, Robbie approaches Stan, trying to talk some sense into him. But Stan, frustrated and scared, shoves his tray and snaps at him to leave. Even Larry, his cellmate, looks disappointed. As Larry turns to walk away, Stan suddenly stops him and whispers, "Stay away from the metal fence at noon." Larry realizes there's more behind Stan's behavior. He's being threatened. Without wasting time, Larry alerts the other inmates, and together they start preparing for whatever is coming. Meanwhile, Warden Gask arranges a meeting between Stan and the parole board, a perfect distraction to keep him occupied while the real plan unfolds. While Stan sits through the hearing, Gask leads the prison's board of directors on a tour of the facility. His goal is clear. At exactly noon, he intends to stage chaos near the metal fence, provoking the guards to open fire on the inmates. The bloodshed would make the prison appear out of control, giving the board a reason to shut it down, and letting Gask claim the land for his luxury development. During the parole hearing, Dang deliberately acts like a total jerk, so he'll get kicked out early. The moment he's dismissed, he rushes out to warn the inmates about the trap. But before he can reach the yard, he's stopped by Dang, who shockingly reveals that he, too, trained under the same master who taught Stan. The two men face off in an intense, brutal fight. At first, Dang dominates, using his superior speed and technique. But Stan digs deep, remembering every painful lesson the master ever taught him. Summoning every ounce of strength, he turns the fight around and knocks Dang out cold before sprinting toward the yard. By the time he arrives, the inmates are already gathered near the fence, angry, armed, and ready to explode. The guards raise their weapons and the tension builds to a breaking point. Just when it seems like all hell is about to break loose, something completely unexpected happens. The inmates suddenly break into a perfectly choreographed dance to a lively Mexican song. Everyone freezes. The guards, the board members, even Gask himself are left speechless. Furious and humiliated, Gask loses it. He grabs a gun and fires into the air, sending the board members into a panic. His unhinged outburst is all the proof they need. The directors immediately move to strip him of his position and have him removed from the facility. Before Gask can lash out at Stan, the cell door bursts open. It's Mindy. She jumps in to protect her husband. To everyone's shock, Mindy reveals she's been training with the master for the past 6 months, mastering her own combat skills. Her newfound strength allows her to stand up to Gask and shield Stan from harm. The story then jumps 3 years ahead. Stan has served his full sentence and is finally walking out a free man. At the gates, the inmates line up to see him off. Even Patterson, his former rival, shows respect by revealing a tattoo of Stan's face on his stomach, a tribute to the man who changed everything inside those walls. Outside the gates, Stan is met by Mindy and the master,